In our three-point analysis today, we focus on the GDP and where it is headed. I'm Ridhima Bhatnagar. As the country strives to get back to the pre-COVID level, we look at the factors behind the government's advance estimate of the GDP, which is expected to contract by 7.7% at constant prices, with the real GDP contracting as much as 8.7%. The numbers behind the contraction expect for the agriculture sector, according to the first advance estimates by the Ministry of Statistics and Program Implementation, every other sector has now witnessed a deep contraction. With the country technically in recession, because we've seen the last quarter numbers, the fall in GDP data is far from the healthy average of 6.8%, which India clocked since the economic liberalization. Now, the fall is nowhere even near the Hindu rate of the growth in the 70s. No doubt, the most important factor behind the contraction is the COVID-19 induced lockdown, which has taken off the polish of India, remaining as one of the fastest growing major economies of the world. The economy contracted by almost 24% in the first quarter and around 16% in the second quarter. In the first fiscal half of the financial year, the goods and services that the country produces, they nosedived from rupees 60 lakh crore from what we had seen from 71 lakh crore for the corresponding period in the previous year. India's real GDP will also be lower for FY21 at rupees 134.4 lakh crore, less than the previous year by rupees 8 to 6 lakh crore. Now, what's even worse is that the per capita GDP will fall to rupees 99, the worst since FY 2016 to 17. The private final consumption and the expenditure metric that determines the demand for goods and services of private individuals is also expected to touch the 2017 to 18 levels at rupees 75.4 lakh crore, down from rupees 83.3 lakh crores in the previous financial year. So how are the various other sectors performing? Manufacturing is estimated to contract 9.4%. Services, sectors, trade, hotel, transport is likely to contract by a whopping 21.4%, while the contraction in financial services and public services will be around 0.8% and 3.7% respectively. Contraction in services sector also corresponds with a dip in hiring, as well as the hospitality industry, which has taken one of the worst hit during the COVID-19 pandemic. Now, with travel, tourism and restaurants being the worst affected ones, we are expecting a further contraction in that sector. But amidst these gloom and doom, the agriculture sector has been a silver lining, with the sector projected to grow at 3.4% in the current fiscal. So with a little help from the government increasing the credit offtake target for the agri sector and even interest subvention scheme as and when required, the rural economy can be the driver of the growth. Being back among major economies, the forward path, India has performed the worst among all major economies. Now, of course, the government came under huge criticism for its inability to provide fiscal stimulus to pump prime the economy. But with the GST figures now showing an uptick in consumption level, it is expected that the economy, with the aid of favorable policies, can be back at the pre-COVID levels. But with the fiscal deficit, which is expected to hover around 5% of the GDP, the government has little elbow room to indulge in capital spending. The central bank doesn't have much room either to cut interest rates further, as it has to rein the inflation, which has reared its ugly head due to the supply side of the constraints. But one big concern is that the gross fixed capital formation has fallen below the 2016 to 17 level. So a turnaround in private capex is not really possible. But there are quite a few positive takeaways. For example, December saw a robust hiring spree, and if the hospitality sector sees an increase in footfall, it's normal that the spending will increase. Right now, India hedges its future on consumption and spending to spur the growth back to where it really was.